Ovo su Pokretači, podcast o ljudima koji prate svoje ideje. Ja sam Srđan Garčević. Dobrodošli. Ćao i dobrodošli u najnoviju epizodu Pokretača. Današnja epizoda će biti malkice drugačija od standardnih, zato što umesto uglavnom nepotrebnog srbliša će cijela biti na engleskom i to sa dobrim razlogom, zato što je gošća Naho Hata iz Wagokora. Naho je svoj biznis pravljenja močija pokrenula pre par godina u Beogradu, prvo kroz radionice, pa onda posle kroz dostavu, a konačno i kroz prelepu malu radnju koju je otvorila u Carigradskoj ulici u Beogradu i pričali smo o tome kako uopšte izgleda truditi se da se transplantira proizvod jedne dosta daleke kulture u drugu, kako izgleda pokretanje biznisa ako ste stranac u nekoj zemlji, ali naravno i o nekim sličnostima i razlikama između Japana i Srbije. Nadam se da će vam biti zanimljivo. Pre nego što čujete Naho, hteo bih da vas podsjetim da možete donirati pokretačima i mome blogu The Untitled Times preko Patreona na adresi patreon.com/Belgrade ili preko Paypala na adresi paypal.me/sgarcevic. Naravno, puno hvala mecenama, vi ovo bukvalno održavate u životu, a naravno i puno hvala svima vama koji slušate. Ako želite da donirate, to bi mi dosta značilo. A sada, bez duženja, ovo je Naho Hata iz Wagokora. First of all, thanks a lot, Naho, for your time. Let's start off with one thing that I noticed while browsing your website, which is that you mentioned that you started making sweets and cooking more when you were at university to sort of bring people together. And given that daifuku in Japan also is sort of used for different sort of seasonal celebrations, for New Year, for Sakura season, apart from that, is it sort of special in any way in Japan for sort of bringing people together?
Oh, you mean like if mochi daifuku itself is something like specific?
Yeah, like exactly. If it's like sort of a specialty, like sort of inviting people for, I don't know, grill is here or something.
I see. Well, to be completely honest with you, I mean, not just about here or Japan. I assume like a lot of culture have its own, the food kind of attracts people and good opportunity to have people get together. Japan, yeah, it's also the same, but more like when people get together for food, it's more like some sort of specific celebration, or could be even, funeral or anniversary. But for me, as you mentioned, the dormitory in university, it was like, because, we are living together and like doing everyday things together. For me, it was really important to have at least, every day some time to have, how do I say, like a proper communication, like with people, like meaningful conversation.
Of course.
I mean, I don't mean like a serious topic or anything, but to actually have like listen to people and talk together, and like, I don't know, having people over for dinner was not the easiest, but like I found it the easiest for me to bring people together.
And then a few years later, you decided to make it into a bit of a business on the other side of the world in Serbia. How did that happen?
To be honest, I think first of all, idea of I don't want to disappoint you, but I would say that it's not that I was, for example, that I was so passionate about this daifuku that we are selling, or like very much into baking. I do enjoy anything that to like the process of like perfecting things. So in that sense, it's not that I'm only passionate about the baking or dessert, but more like the idea first started with I just wanted to have something that I really, how to say, that I really feel the ownership for, that I'm really responsible for. I don't know, that time I think I was enjoying life in Belgrade and working at the restaurant, doing cooking classes. I would say I was enjoying, but I think at some point, I guess it wasn't challenging enough for me. And I needed something challenging and also something that I could use more of my own creativity. Then I just had the idea of just having, small business by my own. And then about this mochi, this specific dessert, or daifuku in Japanese, it was really like popped up in my head. Like, one day I was just walking, and then I was like, oh, like one of my good flatmates back in university, she was from Italy, and I remember she was like so into this daifuku and she loved it. It wasn't only her, many of international students loved that dessert. And I was like, oh, and also, it's internationally already popular in big cities, but it doesn't exist yet in Belgrade. So I thought, that would be like, it could work in Belgrade.
Yes, yes. And given that sort of generally maybe East Asian, but especially Japanese sweets are very subtle in terms of taste. They're not as sweet, they're not as creamy. Did you try to sort of make it more suitable for the Serbian palate, or is this pretty much how it is in Japan?
I would say for our version of mochi, so we have 11 flavors at this moment. I would say, yeah, it's definitely mixed. So, and I wanted to make it like mix in a way. So some flavors for like very traditional Japanese flavors, mainly for people who know those flavors from Japan, but also other flavors that are, some flavors you don't even find in Japan, but more like, like chocolate, pistachio, fruit flavors that people, how to say, can like imagine the flavors before eating. So my intention was having the options for everyone, and people can choose, it's okay, like if they didn't want to try something traditional. Some people, hesitate to try this sweet red bean paste. We also have a lot of people who are willing to try new things. So I'm quite happy that I would definitely think it was a very good decision that we decided to have like both.
Yes, and also, I mean, given that Japanese business culture, from the little exposure I had to it during my sort of corporate times, is very different. It's very sort of subtle. People are very polite, very methodical, whereas in Serbia the business culture is a bit more, I would say, less subtle, more sort of direct, immediate in a lot of ways, and difficult to navigate even for Serbs. How did you find the whole experience of actually launching a business? Because now you have a shop.
You mean in terms of relationship between the business owner and the customers, or business owners and also like people who willing to collaborate, or like suppliers, or I don't know.
I would say, I would say all of it, but sort of especially the sort of, setting up the business with, I guess, the initial suppliers, the other associates, the authorities, I guess, as well.
Okay. In terms of like trying to set up your business, that you need to collaborate with different people, you need to find supplier, paperwork. I would say something that it was difficult for me and still difficult for me is that how to put it, I'm sure even in Serbia, like different field of business have its own sort of culture, but especially I would say food businesses, it's quite casual, and the level of it's very hard to find people who really have this professionalism. So it's very common that you would also know that, for example, meisters, like they say, okay, we're gonna finish on this date, and then they don't finish. Sometimes they even take like 3 months like longer or something. Or they say, we will visit you, or we will deliver this to you on this day, and they don't come. And you have to call them and kind of like chase them. So these kind of things are hard. How do you say? Common sense in Japan is not common sense here. I mean, vice versa. Like good things or bad things. So that part was difficult, but also there are things that I enjoy. Like here, okay, in Japan, I would say if you started your relationship with a person, relationship as a business relationship, it will stay as business. I don't think you would become more like friends, but it just stays as like a business, kind of interactions, and it's not casual. But here, I think people are more open. Like once you get to know them through work, business, you become more like friends, and there's more flexibility. Like maybe in Japan, because they're quite strict and they have rules, there is not so much flexibility in business. But here it's different. I think once you know them, they will allow you to do something that they usually don't do, or give you a bit more services. Like
it's more, I guess, definitely more casual for all the good and the bad things. But another thing that's sort of interesting from the little that I know and that I have experienced of the sort of Japanese sort of food culture and I guess culture in general is this sort of meticulous attention to detail and sort of the aesthetics, which is, well, I wouldn't say absent, but definitely less of a focus here. And maybe the most obvious thing that sort of jumps out is the packaging. And that's something that's amazing with Wagokoro, is this beautiful packaging.
Thank you.
Why was that important? Because normally, here it'd be sort of more, I guess, casual, just.
I think, first of all, like one of the reasons that I wanted to do dessert business, for example, rather than restaurant business, was that I thought, many people think of gifting dessert. There are many opportunities, occasions that people would choose some sweet for as a gift. And I just like this feeling of people that, willing to do, something small to other people, like thinking of them, what to give them. So, I wanted to do something that people can also use as a small gift. If it's a gift, it should look also nice.
Yes. Okay. And then another thing that I found actually quite fascinating when I was in Japan is this huge number of different dishes that might not be that different. For example, okonomiyaki, which is a bit like an omelette, but that are just absent from sort of typical Japanese restaurants, even in places like London, let alone Belgrade, which is sort of just discovering sushi and ramen. But sort of, are there any other things that you sort of miss from Japan food-wise and that you think would sort of find a nice place in Belgrade?
I definitely miss bento. You might have heard, bento box?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. But also, so basically, maybe you can explain. Bento box is, so you have like a box that you put like whatever you would like to have for lunch. It could be made by your family for students to take at school, but also you go to shop, like they're selling beautiful box of lunch. And good thing about it is like they just put small portions of different things. you would have a bit of rice, you have maybe like two kinds, small portion main dishes, and a bit like 2-3 kinds of side dishes, so it looks pretty as well. And bento I definitely really miss.
Yes.
Different, yeah.
Yes, and then there's another thing, which is that I think there's also less of a focus in Serbia in terms of the sort of aesthetics of food, of it just sort of visually looking in a certain way. Do you find any sort of Serbian dishes that could use sort of a bit of beautification or aestheticization? Because obviously a lot of it is meat and doesn't look that sort of, I guess, photogenic.
Oh, Serbian meal. But I don't know, for me, I also like when people, how to say, don't try to make it too pretty, if that makes sense. The Serbian one, yes, you may just put bunches of meat, but you put it in like this, like, what do you call it? I don't
like
know.
a nice pot?
Yeah, like pot.
Clay pot,
yeah, clay pot. And then you have these typical patterns of the lunch mat.
Yeah,
Tablecloth.
Yes, tablecloth.
Those things I do enjoy, and I must say also, it's for me as a person coming from Asia. Asian cuisines are often like restaurants try to make it very fancy. Not only in Belgrade, I guess, but okay, in Belgrade there are a lot of fusion Asian kind of restaurants, and then yes, they make it pretty, but also I'm not against it that they're making it pretty, but something that I find it funny is that for me, it's kind of weird to see like pretty flowers around this, dumplings we call gyoza, because those food are not they're not supposed to be fancy in Japan.
Yeah.
So like imagine maybe you go to a Serbian restaurant outside of Serbia, and then they're serving not pieska pizza, let's say cevapici.
Yeah.
And they put it on this like a French big white plate, and you see the edible flour, and you would find it kind of funny, right?
Yes.
So yeah. So those things I also find it interesting, when another culture tries to, put something from different culture.
Exactly. Yeah, and especially given the whole attitude towards food, because in Asia in general, food is considered sort of more thought through medicinally, in a sense, how it affects you, what to balance, whereas I guess here it's a bit, generally in Europe it's a bit less. But another thing that I also found very interesting is that most people come to Japanese culture through pop culture, like whatever, anime, manga, or even I guess some great films, or even great architecture, or I guess through the sort of great industrial products, whether it's the cars or Toshiba or whatever. But one thing that really stands out about Japan that I thankfully got to know mostly actually through Monocle magazine is this sort of description of big focus on actual crafts, and there are a lot of small craft shops and small craft restaurants that just do one thing. For you, how did you decide that cooking is sort of your craft, your thing, in a sense?
Oh, I think, as I said, I wasn't like super passionate about only the cooking. I enjoy anything that you need to, put effort, and you step by step you make it perfect. But I think, I liked cooking or baking as a sort of like as a tool to, show appreciation to people. And I do enjoy, how do you say, like cooking, the work itself. And I never, see myself as like a good cook, but people do enjoy what I cook or what I bake. So I don't know, naturally I'm like, this it could be a good thing to
Yes.
continue. Yeah.
Yes, great. And I mean, is there? I mean, what was the sort of initial? I guess What are the sort of initial sort of ways that people reacted to some of the more, I guess, obscure different sort of Japanese dishes that I guess you cooked for them in Serbia? What were the sort of reactions?
Oh, well, I would say, but also, for when I cook something Japanese to people living here, I, unless I know that like that person well, those people well, I tend to choose like safe options. Those dishes that many people like in Japan, or like being liked by foreigners living in Japan. So yeah, in that sense, like they want to like, I don't know,
No, like
suspicious, or
katsukari.
like yeah. So they enjoy, or they don't care too much about what I use. They just eat, and if they like it, like they're happy. But I must say also, I'm sure we're just talking about the people that I serve dishes, which I would say these people are already like open-minded people. So I'm sure I would get different reactions from, from Serbian people who never had anything that is what's the word?
Exotic.
That is exotic to them. No.
Yeah, exactly. But and then you opened your shop very close to one of the more popular kafanas in Belgrade, Stara Herzegovina,
I see.
and the whole street of Carigradska is sort
It's
of
getting
becoming a bit of a hub with cool things like boya porcelain. And then how did you decide on sort of Lower Dorčel in that part of town?
First of all, I mean, from the beginning, I was deciding, should I just choose a spot that there are like a lot of people, walking, passing by, more like those streets upper, closer to the like Studentski Trg from Caradushana, like upper part. But also another idea was that to be honest, I don't really I like too busy places. So maybe it's better to have in like a quieter neighborhood, but that people actually come to you, not just like people might not be able to find you just by walking because they're not like, it's not too busy street, but like they come to you because
they want
you have and then so I mean both locations, you have good things and challenging things, but in the end I decided I should definitely go for it's accessible from central location. It's not like middle of nowhere, but still it's not like too central. Then when I decided like this, actually as you mentioned, boya person, one of the owners, Boyana, she was like okay, like, do you want to be my neighbor? She was like, there's a small, place for rent right in front of my porcelain shopping studio. And that same day, I went to see the spot with her, and then I liked it. I liked how the street is quite, it's quiet, they're green, and so that's how it happened.
Amazing, amazing. And relatively close to the Japanese garden inside of
yes,
yeah, cool. But then you decided to open your shop sort of in the middle of the pandemic. How was that experience for you, given that it's already sort of a big step to go from sort of delivery only to brick and mortar?
Yeah, a lot of people have been making comment like, "Oh, it's very brave of you. Like you decided to open in the middle of pandemic." But to be honest, I guess in a good way, I wasn't thinking too much. Like I already spent a lot of time from the beginning of developing the business idea, finalizing the recipes, and just trying out like all these logistics and everything, because I already spent this much time, I was like, you know what, like I shouldn't wait any longer. I already waited. I spent much more time for preparation than I originally thought of. So yeah, it didn't really matter to me that if it's in the middle of pandemic or not. It's just, I just gotta open. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, and then thankfully, you already had a delivery part set up, so I guess it wasn't too stressful. But another thing that you have in the shop, which obviously wasn't that easy for delivery, is the tea part. So is mochi normally eaten with tea, or how does it?
Definitely. It's usually people would take green tea, or we also have this tea called hojicha. It's a roasted green tea, but because of this roasting process, it changed the taste completely, and also it will lose most of caffeine. So either green tea or this roasted green tea called hojicha.
Okay, so you have the tea, then you have the mochi, which has to be fresh, as you always explain on your instructions. Perfect. But like, I was also curious. Sort of, there are a lot of expats and I guess repats who kind of helped boost Serbian culinary scene, from Compass Brewery to, I guess, Burger House Brothers, who came from Chicago. A lot of new Chinese restaurants are opened by Chinese people who moved here. Do you find anything else that you would like to bring to Serbia from, I guess, your experience from your life in Japan? Is there something else that you would like to expand into?
You mean in terms of a business idea, or in terms of
ideas,
as I mentioned, that bento.
Okay.
If I would think of doing something savory, I would definitely go for bento.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And any other things from Japan that you miss here?
You like, could be anything?
Could be anything, yeah.
I would say like clean streets.
Okay.
Or hospitality in Japan is something exceptional. Yeah,
yes.
It's fantastic. So I miss that sometimes. And also, I don't know, just those like cultural seasonal things. In spring I would miss cherry blossom, or in summer I miss these beautiful firework festivals that we have in Japan. Stuff like that.
Yeah, and do you know if there are any sort of attempts to bring Serbian food to Japan? Sort of, is there sort of a contra Naho in sort of Tokyo, trying to make burek or cevapi?
Maybe not burek cevapi, but I do, like, I often mention, like, for example, here zova syrup.
Yeah.
The elderflower syrup. It's very common and it's cheap, and it's, a lot of people drink. It's like one of those things like most of cafes, restaurants have in season. And in Japan, yes, we do have elderflower syrup, but as far as I know, it comes from England. I don't know where they get it from, but yeah, it says like it's from London, and obviously it's super expensive, and it's like a fancy things to buy. It's not like you can get it anywhere. You go to the city center for some, fancy kind of places. So yeah, stuff like flower syrup, zova syrup, or also Ivor, of course.
Ivor.
Yeah, those things. I think, it would be a hit in Japan.
Okay.
Too. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, so if anybody's listening to this in Tokyo or anywhere else, definitely make sure you try that. And I was also wondering, sort of, what sort of advice would you give to anybody who wants to sort of set up a business in a different country?
Set up the business. in different countries? Good question. I would say, maybe it's not only about, setting up business in different countries, but definitely try to talk as many people as possible, people who've gone through the same process. Maybe it doesn't have to be in the same field of work, but any individuals who have experience on like opening up, any sort of business, like did by themselves, and also, if you could, it's also good to talk to both, like local people, also foreigners who've done, because they're different things, different programs, or even just like small things, paperwork is different from when Serbian person opens up the business, or a foreigner opens up the business.
Okay, and then what would you say is sort of the most difficult part of running Wagokoro for you?
Running Wagokoro. At this as I mentioned earlier, that like finding like relate to like people, it's very hard to find people who have like good professionalism. It's one challenging things. So when you actually find people who who always try to do their best, and they actually do what they say, it's, how to say, it's the most precious thing that and also for me at this very moment, it's difficult for me that I feel like right now, because we're still new, just opened, I'm still just trying to do like, how to say, the things that right in front of me, and I'm like, I don't have time to sit and like relax and think of new ideas, or do like planning, or action plans. Basically I'm too occupied with like everyday things to just do it. So I don't have time to rest and to think, like, in order to progress.
Yes.
So that's one thing that I need to work on, like at this stage.
And and in terms of the ideas for progress and things, I know in the US the sort of mochi ice cream is being a big hit. Did you think about anything in that direction, maybe combining it with
we could have it as like seasonal, but how do I say, but mochi ice cream could work, but I wouldn't make it in a way that it's too, how do I say, like too Americanized, if that makes sense. Because not just about food, but many things, like it starts from the States, like the America first like take something from another country, and they change to their own way, and then that Americanized version actually like spread to the world. So I good things also, but like something that I don't like, not necessarily like about. But I definitely like, we're open for like new ideas and whatever people are interested in Belgrade.
And another thing that's that I really appreciated about sort of Japan is this like big focus on ingredients, sort of going very specific into very different types of rice, fish, which obviously to somebody who's foreign obviously don't know that much about. But in terms of ingredients in Serbia, is there anything that sort of, apart from I guess elderflower and dleivery, that you particularly sort of found amazing or interesting?
And any ingredients in Serbia that is amazing? well, I'm sure everybody says, but kaimak is excellent.
Yes,
The fresh homemade one. And also any, like good quality fruits, vegetables are like amazing to me, especially because where I come from, like Japan, like it's the fruits and vegetables are so expensive. So I really have this appreciation for those, fresh and affordable prices of, 1 kilo tomato, cherries, like everything. Yeah.
Yes. Should you maybe expect a sort of cherry or raspberry mochi?
Yes, yeah.
Be good.
It's coming very soon. Yeah, the season is coming very soon. So
Okay, so it's going to be sort of a Japanese Serbian fusion, sort of mochi.
yeah.
Great. And then in terms of, to slowly start wrapping up, is there something that you sort of learned through all of this experience that you think is very useful? Sort of moving to a different country, opening a business, in a sense. Is there sort of deeper wisdom that you gleaned?
I feel like you raised the bar. Deeper wisdom. I don't know, but I don't know. Simply put, good to people, like interact with people in a way that you want to be treated, so that I don't know. I believe it will be returned to you in a way that you treated people. So even if you have an experience like you thought you approached to them very nicely, but they turned you down or disappointed you, just don't focus on that. You will later you will see the opportunity to find people that you would like to work with, that people really people who actually really help you.
Perfect.
Be honest, be authentic to people.
Awesome. And then where would you like to see Wagokoro in sort of, I guess, a year's time?
Yeah, that's the things that I talked about. Right now I'm just doing everyday things, and it's hard to find to see the longer span plans. But I do want to explore more so right now we're only selling desserts, but I would love to see, as you mentioned, Japan is very focused on perfectionism and craft and everything, to see bring something, something from Japan, could be, beautiful Japanese paper. These are also craft. And to bring those small things that I appreciate, from Japan, and to be able to spread in Belgrade.
Exactly, that would be amazing. I'm a big fan of Japanese porcelain, but obviously, hopefully, not big competition to Boya. Who are also excellent, obviously. Boya was on the podcast before. And and sort of to end on a high note, what would you say is the sort of best thing about working in Wagokoro?
Best
for
thing
you?
About working in Wagokoro? To be working in Wagokoro, right?
For you, yeah.
For me, it's really giving me opportunity to see many people, interesting people who've been to Japan and really fan of mochi already, and they really appreciate what we make, or as you said, anime, movies, those pop cultures, it's also Japan is known for. So we do get younger generations like that, who came to know about mochi through manga, for example. Or we also have those like curious older neighbors, like elderly neighbors, just like they just come in and like, you guys, like the store looks nice, but like, what do you have? What do you sell? Like they're just genuinely so curious of what we have because they've never seen the desserts. So yeah, it really makes me happy to, how to say, get to know these people like through running business.
Yes, and do the sort of older generations kind of, are they open for the experience?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. I guess first of all, people who like actually get into the store and like ask you like quite open. And yeah, we have several elder people that who, okay, let's say, so first they take only one because, you know, they're kind of suspicious, like, so it's so small, and then they take one, and then the next time they take bunches, so you know that they like it. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's amazing. So building up a neighborhood. And then finally, so what would you say in your almost 3-4 years in Serbia? What has been the sort of the nicest thing that you've seen in terms of the country, apart from Belgrade, which is always amazing, obviously.
Apart from Belgrade.
Yeah.
Nicest things that I've seen. In terms of like culture or places or
anything, everything. Did you think people shouldn't miss?
Sorry?
Did you think people shouldn't miss if they can obviously come here and experience them?
I would say culture-wise, I really appreciate this. I mean, in general, Serbian people are like very open to new friendship. They could act like best friends even like to a person who just met. Because yeah, whereas Japan, it's more like the beginning is kind of like quite formal or like people are not sure. But here I found many people to be able to like be friends with you quickly. And I think, yeah, I know that a lot of tourists also would say that like in general people are like very kind, like they will tell you different good things about go here, or like how to get there, like very helpful in general. So
the people. And in terms of any places, anything in particular that you liked?
Places in general, let me think. Also, I haven't, to be honest, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad. To be honest, I haven't been to many places outside Belgrade.
Okay.
Just like everybody go, like I've been to, Fresca Gora, Subotica, stuff like that.
Yeah, but then in Belgrade, what are your favorite spots?
Belgrade favorite spots. I like to walk by the, I'm sure everybody does, but by the river, especially the New Belgrade side, when there are not too many people, especially beginning of spring where there, those small like yellow, white flowers on the grass. It looks very pretty. Also, of course, Kalemegdan. Those places. Cool. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Is there anything else you would like to add? Any words of encouragement for expats in Serbia?
No, I'm good. I think I've said I've said everything.
Okay. I to je bila Naho Hata iz Wagokora. Nadam se da vam je ovo bilo zanimljivo. Svakako vam preporučujem da probate močije, ja ih dosta volim, ali naravno i da ako imate bilo kakvu priliku odete u Japan, zaista fascinantna zemlja, dosta drugačija od svega što sam posetio i iznenađujuće na čak i načine na koje i nisam očekivao da ću biti iznenađen. To je to za ovu nedelju. Hvala puno mecenama, hvala puno svima vama koji slušate, delite, lajkujete, komentarišete I da, do sljedećeg slušanja, doviđenja.